Will the 2023 Clemson Tiger defense rank inside the top 5 of college football? ESPN believes so. What are my thoughts? I'll discuss them next on the Locked On Clemson podcast.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Clemson fans? And welcome back to the Locked On Clemson podcast, your daily podcast covering your Clemson Tigers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find and follow me on Twitter at DP_NFL. I'm a national scout over with the Draft Network and part of the co-host team of the Locked On NFL Draft podcast as well. Guys, happy Friday, man. It's warm out. It feels good. I hope you guys are having a great week, and we're going to close the week with a great show. But guys, listen, we have a great show coming up. We're going to talk a few different things, right? But of course, I always tell you guys, I thank y'all for making Locked On Clemson your first listen every single day that I drop these episodes, man. Right now, shooting at 3 times a week, but as we get closer and closer to the season, it will be a daily occurrence. So don't even stress, don't trip at all, guys. But like I said, we have a good show. ESPN predicting the Clemson Tigers defense to be top 5. I'm going to get into that to kick it off. We have T. Higgins, former Clemson wide receiver, coming up on a contract with the Cincinnati Bengals. Is he worth the money? And on the Prowl, 4-star 2025 running back commits to the Tigers. So without further ado, let's get into it, guys. ESPN, their panel, their staff assessed the defenses and the top defenses for this up-and-coming 2023 college football season. And lo and behold, they ranked the Clemson Tigers defense top 5. Now, this may catch some people off guard because this is coming off of a year where Clemson finished 22nd in scoring defense and 28th in total defense in all of college football last year. But, one part of the blurbs is that from what, I'm reading the quote here, it is safe to say the Clemson defense was not up to its usual standard last season. The Tigers finished 6th in the ACC in total defense, the first time in 9 years. They were not top 2 in the league. ESPN's Andrea Adelson said. So they go on to state that first-time coordinator Wes Goodwin had big shoes to fill in replacing Brent Venables, but it also did not help that Clemson had injuries to key players on the defensive line, including starter, who is now with the New Orleans Saints, Brian Brzee, and had a difficulty stopping the pass with a secondary that gave up far too many big plays. But they also go on to say, but there's a reason for optimism heading into 2023. Clemson returns the best starting linebacker duo, I think I said that, in the country, in Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and Barrett Carter, who combined for 169 tackles in their first year as starters in 2022, showing that big play capability that Clemson genuinely gets at the linebacker position, with 24 tackles for loss, 12 sacks between them, as well as the veteran leadership, Tyler Davis, Xavier Thomas, Ruko Roro, and then, of course, the freshman phenom, Peter Woods, right? And, of course, secondary, I've talked about Andrew Mukuba, Nate Wiggins. They have freshman Khalil Barnes coming in, but they also have another safety in Mickens, who I'm going to get into the tape and talk to you guys about. But I agree with ESPN staff and their panel. This defense is chock full of NFL talent in terms of the 2024 NFL draft and then drafts to come. Peter Woods is an outstanding prospect, right? And recruit, 5-star, and he deserved it. There's a lot of 5-star kids. I'll be honest with you guys, when you turn the tape on, you're like, I don't see 5-star. You watch Peter Woods, he's a 5-star. I talked to him. He's my freshman phenom. But I think that's the big thing for me, is that this defense has, like they talked about, the veteran leadership. You have a lot of talent at all 3 levels, and that's what makes this defense, what makes a defense worthy of being top 5. You're not just good on the trenches. You're not just good at the second level, or you don't just have a great secondary, right, in the third level of the defense. All 3 pieces, all 3 levels coexist, and they're cohesive and they work together. And that's the big thing, because with Tyler Davis and Rook, and I'm hearing stuff that Rook may end up kind of kicking down, playing a little bit of D end, because they have some more depth on the interior defensive line. Man, this defensive line could be very, very, very talented. It is very talented, but it could be, dare I say, special in terms of what they're able to do, playing both pass and run, and the versatility, the athleticism, the physicality, the the body types that they have, the versatility and flexibility in terms of being able to move guys around, and really, because I think Tyler Davis could slide down the end a little bit too. If you want to put some bigger boys on the interior, right? You want to run the 4-man front and put two big kind of two gappers and run stuffers on the middle, and kick Rook and Tyler Davis at end. You're not running against that, baby. You're not running against that, right? So I think that's what's big, is that this defense, I expect Nate Wiggins, who I believe was a first-year starter. I remember talking about him correctly when I did check the tape with him and Andrew McCuba, R.J. Mickens, and with this pass rush that could really help them out. And of course, like I talked about, the defensive line, but the key to this defense, man, the play, the versatility, the flexibility in terms of creativity, and with the defensive coordinator Goodwin being able to dial up different plays with Jeremiah Trotter and Barrett Carter at linebacker. To me, those are, I've always said games are won or lost in the trenches. But I think the two most important guys on the defense are at the second level. Both are athletic. Both are physical to come downhill and attack the run game, right? And you can drop them off into coverage. You can play man coverage. They both have interceptions on their resume, or creating turnovers on their resume. You can blitz them both, right? Barrett Carter, just from the glimpses I've gotten of him, I haven't done a deep dive in terms of his NFL scouting profile. I will have that done in the next couple of days, probably over the weekend. When I watch this young man, I see kind of what you get with Trenton Simpson, right? The ability to rush off the edge, drop into the overhang, drop off into middle hook zones, and different things of that nature. Play some man to man, but also, like I said, you can walk him up on the line of scrimmage in the run game, and you feel comfortable with it. Him against tight ends and blitz him off the edge. You can walk him into the A gaps and attack, mug the A gaps on him and Jeremiah Trotter. So these are the guys who are going to make they're going to be the splash guys, the impact guys, right? While the defensive line, they're just going to be the glue guys a lot of times. Where, now, don't get me wrong, Tyler Davis and Rook, they're going to be disruptive, but they're typically the first priority you want for your defensive line. Of course, reset the line of scrimmage. Do not get, knocked back off the ball, of course, right? And keep your linebackers clean. Because if you can keep your linebackers clean, I always say this, man. Was it Tony Siragusa and Haloti Nanta? Man, listen, when you have those type of guys in front of Ray Lewis, man, it makes the job a lot easier to flow and attack the ball and everything else. It just makes the job easier, man. So you want that same thing for with Rook and Tyler Davis and the rest of these guys on the defensive line, Peter Woods, all of them. You want them to help keep, Barrett Carter and Jeremiah Trotter clean, so they can scrape and flow to the football and make plays. Shut those alleyways, shut the door on the running back, and meet them in the alley and create some impactful plays as they did last year as a first time starter. So I'm excited for them, man. I do agree. Like I said, I agree. The Clemson Tiger defense will be a top 5 defense, because at the end of the day, when you look at, and I'll drop the link on YouTube for you guys. But in the top 5, I want to read off real quick before I transition. Georgia Bulldogs came in number 1. I'm not surprised with that. The Michigan Wolverines at number 2. I'm not really surprised with that either. The Alabama Crimson Tide at 3. The Penn State Nittany Lions at 4. Of course, Clemson's at 5. I'll finish at the top 10. Iowa Hawkeyes at 6. And then Florida State at 7. That kind of shocked me a little bit, that Florida State would be a little bit lower. LSU at 8. I don't hate that. Texas A&M at 9, the Aggies, and Wisconsin at 10. Wisconsin typically always have a good defense and a lot of, just not a lot of big name guys, but guys who are going to play in the league for a long time. So really, really well coached defense typically for years and years. So I absolutely believe that Clemson has everything you need to be a top 5 defense in college football. I don't doubt that one bit. This team is like I said, from the trenches, All of it, guys. I think that this is a team and a defense that can win games for the Clemson Tigers, right? And they're going to be battle tested. They are going to be tested, all 2023, especially early on with Duke and the FSU and so forth and so on. But yeah, man, listen, ESPN, I shout out to them and their staff. I think they hit the nail on the head here. This is a team and a defense that can really open some eyes. They have a lot of talent for the NFL draft, and they're going to make some plays and make some things happen. All right. But guys, you're talking about making things happen. Eyes on the league. Former Clemson wide receiver T. Higgins coming up on the contract. So from what I've heard, the Bengals and what I've read, the Bengals say he's a second priority right after Joe Burrow. So, but you still got Jamar Chase sitting behind him. So how are they going to figure this out? Is he worth wide receiver one money? We'll discuss all that next. Guys, trying to find pants and or shorts that fit well, they're comfortable, flexible, and versatile is not easy. I can tell you from personal experience. But let me help you out. Birddogs make me look good, so I'm pretty sure they're going to help you look good as well. Birddogs stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg, giving you a truly sculpted look, especially for my bros that do leg day in the gym. You're going to love these shorts. Their shorts do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but they fit way better, and the price is better. They fit better than all the regular stiff shorts with the restricted cotton and everything. And then what I really love is that they use a cloud knit fabric that allows them to look like khakis, but they stretch for that slimmer fit that I talked about without sacrificing the movement for you, as well as the use of anti-stink and sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. So guys, go to birddogs.com/lockedoncollege for a free Yeti-style tumbler with your next order. That's birddogs.com/lockedoncollege for a free Yeti-style tumbler. You will not want to take off your bird dogs. We promise you. Eyes on the league, guys. T. Higgins, one of my favorite Clemson receivers, by the way, 6'4", 215, 220, just a tank out there, man. Physical, ball skills. He's a 3-level threat too. You know what I mean? He's not one of those big guys that, he's got to be a possession wide receiver. No, he runs good routes. He can separate, as well for a bigger body guy. But hey, listen, I always talk about playing helmet or higher, man. You throw that ball up top, just like the basketball players do. He's going to head top you. He's going to dunk on you, man. And with it's a conundrum for the Cincinnati Bengals because you already sacrificed, granted you drafted a safety so they can let Jesse Bates walk in free agency. But with that, it's like, who else are you going to lose? Because you have to pay Joe Burrow. Now, there has been some rumors that he's willing to take a team-friendly deal, right? Kind of go the Tom Brady route. The difference is Tom Brady was doing that stuff, and he wasn't getting a lot of high-octane passing options. Joe Burrow is going to do because he's trying to keep both of his high-octane passing options with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase because those are the three top priorities for them in terms of contract extensions. T. Higgins is coming up on one now, and same with Joe Burrow, where you have Jamar Chase still has it's going into year 3, so you still have year 4 and a 5th year option. So it's not as big of a thing. But the question is he worth the money? I think that there was the NFL expert over at salary cap expert over at Pro Football Focus, Brad Spielberger. He projected what Higgins' contract will look like. And what he projected was Higgins will sign a 4-year deal worth $97 million, $24.25 million per season, per year, with a guaranteed amount of 32 and a quarter million of that contract will be guaranteed. And that is not a bad deal. That is not a bad deal in any way, shape, or form. Because at the end of the day, if you can get him there, right? If you can get him at a price tag like that, I think you feel comfortable with that. I think you feel good with that. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, guys, 97. What did I say? 97 mil, right? 97 mil. Okay. Now I'm going to run down some of these. I'll run down some of these contracts real quick. So you got Tyreek Hill, 52.5 mil guaranteed, fully guaranteed. His total guarantees is 72.2. Average per year, 30 on the dot. Total value of his contract is $120 million. Devontae Adams, total value, $140 million, 28 per, 22.7 fully guaranteed. Cooper Kupp, 80. Now, that's what's crazy, right? Cooper Kupp, his total value is 80.1, but there's talks about them trying to get that number up and giving him, what he's due, especially since a former Super Bowl MVP. AJ Brown for the Philadelphia Eagles, total value, 100 million, 25 per, 56.4 fully guaranteed. Stephon Diggs, 96 million total value, 24 per. Right. So when you look at those numbers, right, the per, so 24.25 for T. Higgins, projected in that piece, as the yearly, per year, that would land him top what? Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, he'll be like fifth on the list. He'll be a little bit above DK Metcalf, who's at 24 even. Deebo Samuel's at 23.8. Terry McLaurin 23.2. So he'll be around 5, the fifth spot. In terms of wide receivers average per year, his total value will probably be in that same kind of range as well. But yeah, like when you look at this stuff, man, it's wild, and I think the Bengals have to figure this out. And I do believe that T. Higgins is worth wide receiver 1 money, right? I do. I truly, listen, 6'4", 220, all the attributes he brings to the table. This is a stud, man. This young man is a baller. And it's just hard for me to look at him and say, well, he's got Jamar Chase. I'd rather keep Chase. And no, don't get me wrong. If you have to get rid of one, because that's what I'm telling you now, guys. When those numbers I just listed, the upper echelon of those numbers, oh, yeah, Jamar Chase is going to hit that. Jamar Chase is going to absolutely hit that. So when you look at what T. Higgins has done, listen to this now. Because we talk about Justin Jefferson. I think was he in the same draft as Justin Jefferson? I think so. I believe they were in the same draft. Justin Jefferson has 3 years over 1,400 yards. But what we don't talk about with T. Higgins, 90, not over 900 yards as a rookie, right? 1,400 yards in 2021. Now he regressed a little bit and came back down closer to 1,200 in 2022. But his reception percentage and catch percentage went up. He stayed pat with touchdowns, 8 in the past 2 years. So that's 16 since 2021. He has 22 touchdowns. He averages for his career 14 yards per reception, over 3,400, almost 3,500 yards, and almost 250 catches. This is a guy, and he plays predominantly on the outside, man. So that X, he's an outside receiver that can play the X role, that big body, number 1 wide receiver. You think about teams that need that. The New York Giants. Now, you got to figure out the Saquon Barkley situation, right? But, I mean, some people would say maybe T. Higgins would help Daniel Jones better than Saquon Barkley. I'm not going to say that because Saquon's the engine of that team, because Daniel Jones is just an okay quarterback to me. But if you look at some of these, the Houston Texans, I know that the Bengals probably don't want to, if a team wants to trade for him, send like a first round, second round pick or anything, you might not want to put them in the same conference, right? In the AFC, because the AFC is kind of loaded right now. But if you're a team like the Houston Texans, and if Nico Collins doesn't show up this year as your big body wide receiver, I would absolutely send a second. Now, you don't have a first. Do they have a first? I think they might have a first next year. I got to look. But in terms of the Texans, because remember they traded up and everything for Will Anderson Jr. after selecting C.J. Stroud. But with having C.J. Stroud, I'm willing to pay the cost. I will send you a second round pick for T. Higgins, right? And then you can maybe get Nico Collins back if I don't like what I've seen from him during the 2023 NFL season. But I'd rather go and get a T. Higgins to give my young quarterback in his second year, right? Not even just him, but you look at the Indianapolis Colts with Anthony Richardson, the Carolina Panthers with Bryce Young. Heck, dare I say the Tennessee Titans with Will Levis or Malik Willis, whoever's going to play quarterback. Nonetheless, T. Higgins should absolutely have suitors. He should absolutely have suitors. You know what I'm saying? He should. And there's teams, like I said, if you want to send him to the NFC, by all means, that's probably the best bet if you don't want to have to see him and think about getting to the playoffs and potentially walking on the field where your DBs have to face an inspired T. Higgins, right? With those tiger claws are coming out because he's ready. He's on the prowl, right? Because he's like, okay, you guys didn't want to pay. Listen, if you don't think it's a real thing, go and watch the Eagles versus the Titans in 2022. The Titans didn't want to pay. There was some little bit of bad blood there with A.J. Brown. He absolutely destroyed them. Yes, it matters. Yes, that stuff happens. So I think T. Higgins, if he became available via trade after the season, if they can't work out a deal, or I could potentially see him getting the franchise tag, depending on what that tag is. If it's too much, then teams don't want to do like the full franchise tag. They might use part of it or use one of them, but you got to see what the number is, right? They might not do you got to the full tag. They might do the transitional one. I think it's the one where you have to give up like a first, like at least a second round pick or something like that, or 2 seconds or whatever the case may be. And they can put that kind of tag on him. But nonetheless, they got to figure this out, because one thing you can't do, which would be wild, is to pay your wide receiver 2 almost $100 million, pay your wide receiver 1 over $100 million, pay your quarterback over $100 million. That's not sustainable in terms of building a team. So we'll see. But to answer the question, is he worth wide receiver 1 money? Yes. Yes, he is. I love T. Higgins' game, man, and I think he's worth it. But you're talking about worth it. You're talking about him being on the prowl. If he gets traded and goes somewhere else, we're going to talk on the prowl. Clemson just got a 4-star recruit commit for the 2025 class, running back on the prowl, guys. Clemson, like I said, we're putting in work, right? Putting in work for not just the 2024 class, but you got to keep building. And it has the 2025 class, young man that I think a lot of people will be happy once he gets on the field, and that's Gideon Davidson, 6 foot 193 on the weight, from Lynchburg, Virginia, in next year's class. And this is a young man that, this is a big splash. And like I said in the transition, I think Coach Spiller is going to be very happy with this. He is the number 2 rated prospect out of the state of Virginia, and a number 51 overall per ESPN, per Rivals. All ESPN, Rivals, and 24/7 Sports all have him as consensus 4-star recruit. He's number 86 overall. He's the number 8th running back for Rivals, and in the 2nd overall player rated prospect coming out of Virginia for Rivals in terms of 24/7 Sports. 2nd rated prospect in the state of Virginia. 3rd rated RB. 67th rated prospect overall. And when you look at what he did as a sophomore, guys, he was Max Prep's sophomore All-American. He made that team with more than 1,400 rushing yards last season, and he had 28 touchdowns. What? And this is big. This is big news, because some of the finalists for this young man, right? He had around 20 or so offers that included Auburn, Miami, Michigan, Oklahoma, Virginia, Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, and his finalists were Clemson, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Tennessee were all in that finalist group, and Clemson came out on top. So this is, and when to put this into some perspective as well, since Spiller came on the staff, the full-time staff in 2021, this is the highest rated running back commit that they've had. Previously it was the 2024 kid, David Ezumumi, which is, he came off the board, in March, who's also a 4-star recruit himself. But just looking at this young man, and 24/7 profiled him, and this is an athletic kid. The quote is, has multiple sport profile with strong build. Speed markers include 10.69 in the 100-meter dash. He's a 27 long jumper. Has 2-way snaps at safety and running back. Big production. As a freshman, over 1,200 yards, 19 touchdowns, while averaging more than 11 yards per carry as a freshman as well. Pace of play popped during in-person evaluation for them. Patient runner with vision, knows how to set up his blocks, quick feet with stop-start ability, accelerates through the hole, has speed to finish runs as well. We talk about converting speed to power a lot of times with pass rushers, but that's big for running backs too. He's best suited to run between the tackles, body control to make subtle cuts at the second level, difficult to arm tackle, shows cutback ability, has the instinct as a runner to make defenders miss in the hole, as well as there's upside. We talk about with Will Shipley being able to split out wide as a receiver in the slot, different things like that. This is a young man who is a solid pass catcher as well. They say he lines up out wide also. So yes, like he has the speed, but they view him as better as a between the tackles runner. And just his ability to slide outside and play some snaps at wide receiver, that just creates that creates mismatches and allows the offensive coordinator, hopefully it's Garrett Riley in 2025 as well, and he's not going on to somewhere else for a head coaching gig, but it allows them to be creative with the offense. And when you can motion the running back out, it's a coverage indicator at the same time. It's chestnut checkers, baby. It's chestnut checkers, because when you can motion guys, it allows you to see, okay, is this man, now don't get me wrong, there are combo coverages where they will stay still and it looks like zone, but they're actually playing man, or they motion like it's man, but everybody's dropping into cover 3. They just kind of change their drops based on moving to the opposite side of the formation, so forth and so on. But again, it's typically a coverage indicator when you motion guys pre-snap, because if a running back goes out wide and a corner bumps out with him, it's typically an indicator that is zone. But if a linebacker goes out with him, right, then that means it's man-to-man, and that corner bumps down into which would be the slot receiver, the receiver who bumps down into the slot. Now that corner gets into the nickel. Now because at the end of the day, I always talk about this with young quarterbacks. Everything they're going to see during games, it's a test. Every snap is a test, right? It's a quiz and everything. So it's multiple choice. What you want to do as offensive coordinator is give your quarterback the answers. Give him a cheat sheet where you can kind of he can kind of see some things. Okay, this man-to-man coverage, I know where I want to go with this, and he can it helps him read the defense pre-snap, right? Now he's got to be willing to do it, and not just predetermined read. So I think Cade Klubnik will be fine with that. But again, just this young man, very talented. And like I said, Coach Spiller, running backs coach, will absolutely love this young man. And 24/7 Sports, that blurb that I read on their scouting report, highly, listen, 10-6-9 in the 100 guys, that is nothing to sneeze at. Especially, he did that as a sophomore. So he's going into the junior year, and he still has a senior year. So this is a kid that's still going to grow, still going to develop, guys. But listen, that is on the Prowl, man. I appreciate y'all for tapping in with me. It's happy Friday. And y'all tap in with me every single day, and I appreciate that, and I love y'all. Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Guys, we got more coming next week. We're getting closer and closer to the football season, to fall camp, all of that good stuff. We're going to keep eyes on the league, on the Prowl. We're going to tap into more and more things, man. So continue to tap in with me. And as always, you know what I'm saying? And I thank y'all for making Locked On Clemson your first listen today and every day that I drop these episodes. You're not just my Clemson family, but you're my every single dayer. So, guys, I appreciate you. I love y'all. So tap back in with me on Monday. In terms of Twitter, you can find and follow me there at DP_NFL. Talk to me, because I talk back. I love to talk ball and have fun. Workouts, basketball, you name it. I love to chat about it. But as always, guys, listen, come and join the conversation again tomorrow or on Monday on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day. Go Tigers.